Hello? Is it working? Can you hear me? Hi. I'm I'm wearing cat ears. They got bells. Hey. What's up? uh Poop is funny? Yeah, good start. Hey everyone. Alright, let me I just woke up an hour ago. Hopefully I can get myself. So yes, I haven't streamed for a while. I don't know why. I just didn't want to. My channel is very passion based. If I don't feel like doing something, I tend to not do it. So yeah, but I wanted to do a stream today, mostly to talk about the year and really, I guess, catch up on a lot of cool things. There's been a lot of interesting things happening very recently. Not even just like the rumors or all that stuff going on, but really like I've been digging into some pretty fun little things I want to share that I can't fit into whole videos because I always have that problem where I think something's super cool. I want to share it with people. I usually use Twitter for that, but there's sometimes I want to like talk more about it, but it's still not enough to make whole videos about. So, background music touch loud. Okay, I'll put it down. Yes. I am playing. I still haven't played the game. I just like the music. It's perfect for this stream. So there's a few things before we start. We'll do like Q&A stuff, I guess, if you care about that. But there's a few things I have to show off because it's Christmas, and Christmas is all about getting stuff. So Nofio, this is the first thing I want to talk about. People were asking me before the stream if I was gonna wear a maid outfit. No, that's done. it's not done forever because it's not, me wearing a maid outfit has been 3D scanned and is now a VR chat avatar that people like to haunt me with every time I hop into VR chat. But I have another way people can haunt me with the Brad Chan wearing a maid outfit. So Nofio, you might remember them. I did a video on them. I don't know if that was in October or something. They're the company that makes the wireless adapter Kickstarter. They did a Kickstarter for a wireless adapter for the Valve Index using Wi-Fi 6E. And they sent me. So I don't usually like to show gifts from companies on the stream too much, but they did something just crazy. They sent me this. It's a custom Funko Pop, but it's Brad Chan. It's me wearing my maid outfit, and they gave me and there's a sticker, and then there's a card because the Nendoroid. Oh, that would be too insane. But yeah, truly. My wife was looking at me while I was opening this gift, and she said she's never seen me so shocked before in my life, and that's an accurate. I was. You know, usually when you get people love to send the VR industry loves to send YouTubers gifts all the time. You know, they're usually like T-shirts or whatever. So I was kind of expecting like, oh, it's gonna be like a NoFio logo T-shirt. I was not expecting a Brad Chant wearing a maid dress, but it's a fantastic gift. The only reason I got this, by the way, and it says on the note, I have a review. This review keeps getting delayed. I'm sorry, I'm so slow at it, but I have these gloves. That's also a Kickstarter happening right now. This review is kind of a pain in my butt. I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. But one thing is this is a Japanese company. And this was the first company to do this, but they sent me the gloves, and also in the box they sent me a waifu, because they know I love reviewing waifus, and this is the waifu they sent with me. So I joked on Twitter that if companies do want to send me, or because I don't do paid reviews. People, you know, in the YouTube industry, people always want to pay you to do reviews for products. I don't accept money for reviews. So I joked, the only payment I will accept for hardware reviews is waifus. And that's why we have this now. Yes. That's fantastic. Yeah, yeah. They exactly, yeah. Companies are now paying me in waifus, which, yeah, yeah. I am okay. I guess I'm okay with this. Tell me the Deckard's coming next year. I'm not telling you garbage. I will talk a little bit about that, I think. There's a video I'm working on as well. Another hard video, because this video is like, I don't really like to do too much speculative stuff these days. I feel like I've kind of grown past the Omega speculative nature of the channel, right? But there is one video I'm working on that mostly tracks kind of the camera tracking stuff that they've been working on, all that stuff, like kind of the tracking systems. And yeah, that's been another hard video. I'm trying to make it as least speculative as possible, which is why the video's not come out as fast as I would like it to. But you know, because whenever I do videos on like Deckard, especially, I like to show every evidence so people can make their own ideas. So let's talk about these gloves real quick before we get into Q&A. Oh, there's one more thing after the gloves I gotta talk about, because it's so cool. Like, it was another thing that blew my mind. I had two brain explosions this week, just from out of nowhere. So these gloves, they use a tracker, as you can see, and they have little, like, I'm gonna do a teardown, by the way, of this glove for when I do a review, so I can explain how it works. I actually don't know how it works completely yet, but there's like these ribbons inside that track the values of your finger curling. And there's also like these little magnetic contacts where you press your thumb against to simulate buttons in a joystick. The joystick is kind of bad on this thing. Really, I know everyone always, so this is why it's been so hard to review. When I first got these gloves, the driver that they gave me was not really working correctly. I could never match up my hand with the virtual hand, right? So it ended up, I found out that they actually partnered with Lucas and the team behind Lucas VR Tech, and they switched to the Open Gloves software. And even though that they changed all the branding and stuff, the new drivers are running on those Open Gloves, which is way more built out, and it's, you know, open source and everything, and it works now. It finally works correctly. But then I ran into the problems where I'm thinking to myself, so I always feel gloves are very non-consumer friendly for the most part, honestly. I'll talk more about this in my review, but after trying doing hand tracking on the Quest Pro, right? The camera-based hand tracking, and then doing the VR chat standalone, like locomotion and everything, like all the gestures and stuff. It's really hard for me to go from that and then go to this, which doesn't. These contact things are not accurate when you, especially the joystick. When you do the joystick locomotion in VR chat on standalone Quest, it's based on the camera sees your hand moving forward, backward, right, or left, which is way more. It makes way more sense in the brain. Whereas to simulate joystick with this, there's a gesture you do. You hold like I think the ring finger to your thumb, and instead of doing this like moving a joystick as if like you're holding an arcade joystick, it's tilt based. So it's like if you want to go right, you tilt your hand right, you tilt your hand left, and all that. It doesn't feel right. It feels very terrible, especially like the best. I'll have a video on this, of course, to explain it better. But there's a radial menu in VR chat where you hold down a button and then you use a joystick to select different options. Kind of similar to in Half-Life Alyx when you want to select a different weapon. It's kind of like that. It's way harder to select something from a radial menu with that tilt-based joystick than it is on any other system. So it's just hard to put this product into words, because if you really want finger tracking, which I think finger tracking is fantastic, I am a big believer in that the added value of finger tracking is worth it. It's hard to make these things are in direct competition with each other, and it really makes you also appreciate how much work these things don't have. Perfect calibration, right? But the calibration to get these good is way like it takes me like 30 times to get the finger calibration right. Yeah. And if you want to use this in VR chat, I will stop. I will stop with this topic, but I just gotta get this on my system. If you want to use this with VR chat, which is a pretty big reason probably to use it, right? Like, there's not many applications that you would care too much about finger tracking, right? Well, VR chat, do the way they're doing this system, you have to set up your avatar to do the finger values through OSC. And I couldn't even get it working on my avatar. I still haven't. They gave me an avatar to test it with, but there's just all these points of friction where I'm just like, it's cool. They're fully funded on Kickstarter. Maybe that's why I'm so easy to just talk a lot about it, because they're already been funded. But I probably won't be using these after I'm done with my review, if that makes sense. So yeah. ERP gloves. yeah, it doesn't have, and they're supposed to have little haptic vibration on one version of the product. This just has the finger curl, really. It's kind of the main selling feature, which again, that's the main selling feature of this. And this has an actual joystick, actual buttons. It's a lot more user friendly. It's got this has vibration, right? And I forget how much these are kickstarting for, but it's just hard. It's always hard being a reviewer, and wanting to be honest all the time, because, you know, the team behind this glove have been so kind, very, like, sometimes staying up very late just to help me get this thing working. So they're very, very nice people, and it's always a little painful to say that, yeah, I probably won't recommend this to most people, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. And then there's the Lucas VR glove, which you can sort of build yourself, but I think most people will have trouble unless you're very DIY friendly. And you're gonna have pretty cheap components. I think that's another thing about Lucas VR Tech gloves. They started the version 5 prototype. I haven't started looking into it, but yeah. Anyway, cool. You answered quite a few of my oh, do you have any more? Okay, let's just do that. Before we go on to the next topic, any questions on this, really? Before I head on to the next thing? Is the finger tracking better or more detailed? It doesn't have splay. It's still just finger curl, which is this. So it kind of feels the same. In fact, I feel it's more wonky, because, again, you have to do this calibration thing before you can get these to work correctly. And that calibration is really just... Again, it made me really I used to think, like, God, this is so... Like, I always get so pissed, like, whenever the fingers don't line up correctly on the controller. I'm like, man, Valve could have done a really better job. That's what I was always thinking in my brain, right? And then I tried these, and I see how hard it is to calibrate these things. I'm like... This isn't so bad anymore. It's still not ideal, but yeah. No, it doesn't have split. How do you get one of these? They're doing a Kickstarter. They're called Contact Glove. So if you are interested, Diver X Contact Glove. If you really want to have a pair of gloves, just like to mess around with, like, you don't expect, because there are people that always want to try gloves, right? And this is probably the most consumer friendly you can just buy off the shelf. So if you're just someone that likes that kind of thing, then you can get it. But yeah, I just think the general markets will not want it. How the heck do you clean them? Apparently you can machine wash them. I don't know how. But apparently you can clean them. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know actually. How do you like the Quest Pro? Do you see this thing on the back here? Do you see this thing on the back here? This should tell you how I feel about the Quest Pro a little bit. It's very annoying because I notice. So I use it a lot, mostly for VR chat. That's mostly what. That's all I do. That's all I do is VR chat. I like to have full body tracking all the time in VR chat, and it's already normally pretty hard to synchronize play spaces, which means like you would use a program to in Steam VR to synchronize the lighthouse's play space with the play space of the headset. But what I noticed, this one drifts a lot more than other headsets when using that, and I think it's because you're not just syncing the play space of the HMD with the lighthouse system. You're also syncing the controllers. These controllers have their own SLAM map that's syncing with the headset as well. So you have like kind of 4 play spaces syncing all at once. So you're gonna get drift way more often. And it's got to the point where I got so sick of it, attached a Tundra tracker to it to do continuous calibration, so I can continuously calibrate the play spaces. But that program doesn't run super efficiently all the time, so it's a little annoying. And it just again brings me back to wanting to use my index more, because I want to have. I literally do spend 6 hours a lot of time in VR chat. Like 6 to 8 hours is not uncommon for me. So I like to have unlimited battery life, plug and play, full body tracking just works with my system, no drifting. It's just this. I'm not the. I know I'm a very probably not average user, but yeah. Oh, you picked up a Quest Pro thanks to your... Yeah, again, I still stand by my review. That review was a terrible thing for my brain. Because I said I was going to do it... I said I was going to do the review a month after I bought it. I ended up doing a month and 2 weeks after I bought it. And those 2 weeks were literally me looking at the mirror and thinking, oh god, this is such a hard device to put into words. So I would be up at night thinking like, oh god, what do I say about this thing? How do I want to do this review? So, do you believe that VR gloves are the future of controllers in VR? Not really, actually. I don't think so. I think for VR gaming, I still think controllers are going to be quite useful forever. Standard handles. For non-gaming, I think camera-based hand tracking is getting really freaking good. In fact, I think if gloves do get some huge mainstream appeal, they're going to be piggybacking off of the camera-based systems. Because if you want like stuff like haptics or anything on your fingers, well, all you need to do is attach like these little haptic things, maybe with a battery on your hand. But you don't need to do this huge janky system. You could just have the cameras do all the hard tracking work and then sync like some Bluetooth motors or something. I think that would be... And the Meta's EMG wristband does seem to be a very smart way as well to kind of get... I guess... Yeah. This device has really made me question everything. Like, re-question everything because of the way this thing tracks. Like, the way this thing tracks opens the door for so many interesting things where even like the Meta's EMG band, like wristband or head bracelet, if they added cameras like this to the bracelet where it can be tracked no matter what, then yeah, you're talking about a really seriously good replacement for even camera-based hand tracking probably. Because I've heard that EMG system very good. I've heard it's very good. The problem that they have with getting it to market is they can't make the components cheap enough that they want consumers to pick up. That's why you don't see them out. They are trying to productize them very hard though. It's just the cost. They're trying to bring the cost down, which has been the one sore no is what I've been told about it. How much are the gloves? I forget. Let me look them up. Hold on. That was another thing. When I reviewed NoFio, I felt I was pretty neutral. Like, I even said at the end of the video I was not going to pre-order it on the Kickstarter, and I didn't. But still, a lot of people bought it, and the company's still happy with me. They still are giving me gifts, so that's the dream right there, honestly. Okay, so this is all in yen. Hold up. 62,000 yen. This sounds kind of expensive. It's $460 for the base kits. Two gloves. $460 for the base kit. And that does not include Thunder Tracker, because you gotta put a tracker on this. You have to put like a Vive tracker or Thunder Tracker on this. That's pretty expensive still. Then you gotta have lighthouses too. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the PSVR 2 has finger tracking? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It has like, it has like what most controllers have, where it's like, it tracks. It's kind of like these, like this doesn't have finger tracking, but it can kind of tell a little bit where your index and whatever is with the grip button. But I don't count that as finger tracking. That's like its own thing. Oh, I also got some donations. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you for all your hard work this year. Thank you, Bluebell. Thank you. Backstar in VR for Christmas. Meta gave me the glitch on my Quest 2 where it only charges up to 55%. Is that a software bug, or like has your battery degraded that much from a lot of usage over the years? That's crazy. I really hate batteries, guys. I'm sorry. I know I talk about that a lot. I know I'm in the minority about the wire and stuff, but I really hate batteries. Whenever I use this thing, I hate having to bring this up all the time when I want to start a rant about batteries, but whenever I'm using this thing and I see that little, it gets to 20% and the battery starts saying battery low, there's so much stress that comes over me. It's kind of crazy. Do you crush candy cane? Wait, no, I got another topic. Oh, how can we meet you at CES? Good question. I don't know. I'll probably just be walking around. Like, I didn't think about doing any meetups or anything. If you're gonna be at CES and you want to meet up with me, just DM me on Twitter or something, and I'll tell you where I am if you want to like talk or something. Yeah, I have no idea how CES is coming so soon. I have no idea how that's gonna go. Anyway, next topic. This thing. Everyone in the chat is like, "Oh God, Brad's gonna start screaming about his index again." I'm gonna tune out. No, this is a special index. This is an index dev kit. An index dev kit, actually. Pre-production index. That's why it has no logos on it. Do you want... It's an index dev kit. And the way I got this, you won't believe. So GameStop almost 2 weeks ago was doing a very good... I'm a big fan of aftermarket stuff. Like, if I ever see deals on like used or refurbished things for VR, I can't help myself but buy it. I kind of an addiction. Also, it's kind of interesting to also watch the aftermarket so much, because you kind of see how many people are giving away, like how many people are just not using Quest 2s or indexes or whatever. You'll be like, oh my God, there's like another 1,000 Quest 2s up on the eBay again, used Quest 2s, right? But No, so GameStop was doing a huge sale. I got it was a full kit for $600, full kit refurbished from GameStop. And I kept hearing about the GameStop thing. I was like, I'm kind of curious, but it didn't hit that price threshold for me to want to nab one. So originally I was planning to do a video on like, hey, I know GameStop is always selling refurbished Valve indexes. It hit $600. I'll just do a video showing off the quality of the index I got from GameStop in case people wanted to go for that kind of risky concept of a refurbished index from GameStop. Well, I got 2 lighthouses in the kit. It uses the original box of the index. These lighthouses look like they've never been used. They have the plastic on them. It also gave me some pretty new, good quality controllers. But then the headset, I turned to the headset, and I was like, this headset looks kind of strange. I couldn't figure out all the strangeness. I was like, why is the speaker grill way more visibly? You can see it way more visibly through the grill, right? And I was like, oh, there's no logos. Oh, the model number is like, was it 100X, and like there's no serial number on it and stuff. I was like, what is this? This is so weird. And then I started plugging it in and figuring stuff out, and it actually didn't work. This headset did not work when I plugged it in. So I had to do a lot more kind of tinkering with the Lighthouse JSON file to get it to work. And I found out, and this was the most ironic thing too. One of the first things that me and my community found related to our Deckard data mines, like literally the first video related to Deckard, we found something called lens cal mode, like a lens calibration thing. This headset was set to lens cal mode, for some reason, and that's why it didn't work. I had to edit the file to get it out of that lens calibration mode. So that was another piece of irony. I got a headset in lens cal mode. It's one of the first strings we found for Deckard stuff. Lens cal. Yeah, and I got it working, and it says it's a Index DV. It was manufactured around December 2018. The wires are like EVT. There's like some labels I can't get them right now, but they have like some new code name I've never seen before for the wire. So we know what the wires were codenamed and stuff. And yeah, I kind of was taking it apart a little bit and comparing it, and yeah, just a really unexpected, amazing thing. It's very similar to the consumer index because it was pretty much like the final version before index, but there's still some differences. And yeah, it doesn't. It's stuck on 90 hertz. You can't upgrade. You can't update the firmware or anything. And every time I plug into SteamVR, it tells me pre-production hardware. Please replace it with as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm keeping that. So the background music is the soundtrack for Norwood Suite. What's a Deckard? That's the code name for Valve's next VR headset. It's called the Deckard. What were the odds? I know. I actually did talk to two. There were there were 2 other people that were, at least I could find on the internet, that also had the same issue. And I talked to them and I grabbed their files just to kind of compare. And it seems like some developer who probably got multiple developer kits from Valve just dumped them to GameStop. And I know I know for a fact now that GameStop does not test these units before they put them on sale, because this unit just didn't work because it was set to a configuration mode that doesn't allow you to work normally with SteamVR. So yeah, but there were 2 other people that had the same thing as me. So one developer just I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but I guess I know Valve contacted one of the people that publicly said they had a DV unit of the index, and they were trying to actually claim the DV from that person. So Valve does care a little bit. I just don't know how much they care. But yeah, I'm obviously I'm keeping mine because that's kind of a piece of history that I freaking love. Yeah, I've literally never seen these much in the wild, so don't buy from GameStop. I don't know. I heard people can exchange their kits, but I don't know. For $600, you're like, it's not 600 anymore. It's 700. It's back to 700 now, so maybe not get it. But yeah. All right, let me look at. Do you think this person sold their index dev kit to GameStop because they received their Tecker dev kit? No, probably not. You know, the sad thing is, I almost have a feeling that whoever received these index dev kits, maybe they don't make VR games anymore. That wouldn't actually shock me, like, honestly. That would not shock me. I mean, Valve has to let me keep it, unless, like, I bought it, you know? They're probably giving that other guy, like, a consumer version to give his developer version back to them. Which is, you know, that's a fair trade. The other guy didn't really care that much about having the dev kit. He just wanted something that works, right? For me, this is something that I'm going to cherish for a very long time. Any news for yeah, let's talk about we'll talk about the next year or what's coming. Let's talk about 2022 because I think it's a good segue. They used to test consoles. That makes sense. I think testing consoles is way easier than testing VR headsets that are you have to plug into a PC and set up lighthouses and stuff. But yeah, let's talk about 2022. Index is a gimmick anyway. True, VR is a gimmick. Was I disappointed with VR software and hardware in 2022? Absolutely. Yeah. I said this on another podcast I'm on. And I said, if I wasn't so into VR chat, I probably wouldn't be in VR at all this year. Like, honestly. Like, if we're talking about the software angle, there was some, like, really nice stuff. Like, I really liked Kayak VR. That was probably the one title that I was like, this is one I want to see more of. I wish it was multiplayer, but whatever. There was Half-Life 2 VR mod, which was a very cool, not only game to play, but it was a cool experiment to see how many people reacted to people that thought they had no motion sickness for VR. It was fun to read all the threads and comments from people that found out that, yeah, sometimes VR legs are not as static as you might think for some things, and I think that was kind of an important thing, but it was still very good. But it was really just for me this year. It was just really VR chat and all the experiences and people. I met so many amazing people this year that I was able to communicate with in VR chat. It was truly amazing. Like it was truly incredible. Like it's fun to be able to like talk to people in the industry as well in VR chat, because a lot of people who work in this industry are also into VR chat. So I get to invite them to a room and like kind of talk about things going on and stuff, and not even in the industry, but just so many. I just met so many cool people this year, and I feel there were some bad parts of it too, like you know, VR chat had the issues with the mods, which they handled that situation pretty well. All the features they added because of the community backlash. I'm so glad the community had such a big backlash for that situation, because otherwise we wouldn't have all the we probably wouldn't have all the amazing functionality they added right after that, and that made the experience way more usable. But there's also been kind of some sad parts of social VR. That's not even VR chat, but Neos is another platform I kind of want to bring up, because I like Neos a lot, but it's kind of depressed me to the point I don't want to go in Neos anymore. Because if you don't know, Thrillseeker did a fantastic video explaining the situation, but Neos is in developer hell, pretty much. Like, it's not getting any updates. Yeah, I don't even know if that's gonna fix itself. So in my brain, I literally see Neos as like a dying platform because of that. Because there's just a kerfuffle among the developers, the leaders. That's unfortunate. Anyway, hey, oh, if you got, by the way, guys, if you ever want to do hang out with me in VR chat, just add me on VR chat, SadlyItsBradley, every Saturday. Open to anyone, and it's probably kind of crazy to say on a 300 viewer stream, but every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we go into VR chat every Saturday, including tomorrow and New Year's Eve and stuff. So if you're interested, never be afraid to join off of me and just want to talk to me, because I usually keep my status on blue whenever I'm in VR chat, which is late at nights usually, so yeah. Anyway, hardware. Let's talk about hardware this year. Hardware was pretty awful. Pico 4 was cool. I think Pico 4 was really cool to see. I think this 2022 is going to be the year where people finally understand pancake. I remember last year I was trying to explain pancake lenses so hard to people, and people weren't really getting it because I'm not a good explainer, or maybe people are just visual, right? But this year we got Pico 4 and Quest Pro, and people got the pancake thing. They understand the pancake thing now instantly, right? So yeah, that's kind of the one thing this year, and I think we'll see a lot more pancakes coming out. Do you think Apple VR will be announced soon? And do you think I can play Pop 1 on there? You'll never play Pop 1 on an Apple headset because it is a Meta-owned game now. I don't know. I really kind of do feel... So I don't like talking about Apple too much. There are way better leakers that handle Apple than me, because that's all they care about. Apple also brings kind of a weird... If you do like a video on Apple Leak, you get a weird clientele. You get a really weird clientele of viewers and community with that. So I kind of usually stay away from Apple stuff and talking about it. But people do keep telling me that they do expect it to come next year. Like, people that tell me a lot of things that happen to be true. It's just one of those things that keeps getting delayed. I think it would make the most sense, in my opinion, if they announced it during their developer conference, because the first generation headset really does seem to be like kind of a developer kit more than a consumer focused product. So I feel like that would be the most appropriate if we saw it, would be at the Worldwide Developer Conference. So what about waffle lenses? You're joking about that, but there are lenses kind of like waffles. Let me see if I can find it. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Close enough. These remind me of waffles. Yeah, this is a weird type of lens. It's a kind of a type of pancake lens too. Very strange. Kind of like a waffle. Oh, this is also the company, from what I understand, that designed the lenses for the Lynx, which also has kind of a weird lens system. So, yeah. Merry Christmas, Barry. I'm wondering if your thoughts when we'll see a 4K Imagine OLED in a VR headset. Okay. Before I talk about this, I have to be quite clear. I do own shares. I do own shares in Imagine Corporation, the micro OLED company. I do not recommend anyone ever take investing advice from anything I say. I don't recommend that at all. I am not a stock analyst. I'm only interested in that company because of all the connection I found between them and Valve. years past. So all I want to talk about, so let's talk about the future. Don't mind now. So this recently came out. There's actually been a lot of news related to micro OLED coming out this past week, especially. It's been a lot of news this week about, especially Samsung. Samsung's getting super serious right now about building micro OLED LED fabs for VR. Super serious. It's actually the most serious I've ever... It went from like 0 to 100 in seriousness within like a month, I feel like, with all the news. Which makes me think that Samsung was probably already serious about it. It's just the media, the Korean media didn't notice until recently, or didn't get the leaks until recently. So Samsung Gear VR 2, God, I don't know why, but that totally just wrecked my train of thought thinking about that. Thank you, Guy. But yeah, this was a very this was an article that happened about, oh, this was in October, but there was a lot more articles other than this. I'll bring up in a second. But yeah, so Samsung Display is finally getting serious about OLED micro displays, and everyone's saying that they're going to first adopt a... Do I really want to talk about this again? So everyone says they all these companies like LG, Samsung, China, which China probably will, Sony, are all going to be adopting white OLED with color filter based design. Oh, which is the one on the left here. This is the kind of displays that are used for Arpara, upcoming Mega Nex, and pretty much every other micro OLED, like the Nreal glasses. They all use white OLED with color filters. Those are very easy to mass produce. Easy. In that market, you know. But the problems with them, and why you haven't seen big companies like Apple or Meta jump on that train, is mostly due to the fact that you need to pair micro OLED pretty much. You have to pretty much pair it with Pancake or something better, due to the fact of how these display sizes are not huge. You never could compare these displays with Fresnel for the most part. So, but the problem is with Pancake lenses is, as people have kind of heard and seen a little bit, is the light efficiency is very poor on Pancake lenses compared to Fresnel. Totally worth it, in my opinion. I want to state that I think Pancake lenses are totally worth that. But yeah, the white OLED with color filter doesn't have much brightness to be able to compensate with that. Companies are trying to boost white OLED with color filter to get brighter, but that's at the cost of power consumption and like the Mega Nex is doing, which is partnered with Panasonic. They're using a company known as Copen, and I always laugh at that name because it's like copium. So Copen, they're doing dual stack right now, white OLED. So instead of having one white OLED with color filters, they're doing 2 stacks of white OLED with color filters. That kind of makes it more expensive to make because when you do multiple stacks of white OLED, you have to do multiple chambers of deposition, which adds more time and cost. But it gets the display brighter. But still probably not as bright as some of these large companies want. So then you have these huge companies like Samsung and LG for the most part looking into doing what is called direct emission or direct patterning, which is instead of using a white OLED base with color filters, which the color filters are kind of the problem. The color filters are the things that like suck out all the light from the self-emitting display. They want to deposit red, green, and blue pixels, which is the same as a cell phone. Cell phones are already RGB, direct emission. They're already RGB. LG TVs are white OLED with color filter because it's easy to do for big displays, white OLED. For phone displays, it's easy to do RGB, But when you get to the tiny displays, right now it's been mostly easy to do the white OLED again, which is kind of weird. But everyone wants to switch to the RGB. Imagine was that company I did an interview with. I was really interested in this company because I found so many connections between Valve. That's why I always talked about them, is because I was like, oh, the 4K display was almost undoubtedly funded by Valve. That was what I believed for a while, and I kept spreading that. And then I went to the SID, and David, he also saw it and talked to the guy, and also, you know, he's on the same page as me as well. So and then we got this article in October, finally, just to get that all the spiel end. A Korean media, the Oled, which is very known for following a lot of stuff, LG and Samsung especially, very, very display-focused Korean journalism, said that Samsung is actually looking into Imagine's technology for what they believe is their second-generation displays. So things are getting there. And there was some news this week related to Samsung, brand new news, actually. I'll just say the other two pieces of news from Samsung. Let me find the first one first, because the first one is kind of a very notable, where they're dedicating to actually building lines for it. So according to what is this company or this journalism called? I think it's like Korean Economy or something. I told HankYung.com, another Korean news site. They said that the company has started to order equipment for a 300mm pilot line in Asan, Korea. And mass production will begin by Q4 2023 with a capacity of 6,400 monthly wafers. Full-scale production will begin in 2024. That's a really big step for a multitude of reasons. First of all, they're dedicating straight to 300mm. That should be nanometer. Or no, it's millimeter. Sorry, my brain. Yeah, 300mm. So 300mm wafer, when you dedicate to 300mm, that's a big dedication. That means you expect to get the most out of the wafer, because there's two kind of wafers. There's 200mm and 300mm. If you're making 300mm, that's a big dedication. That equipment's usually way more expensive than the 200mm stuff. So they really do want to mass produce when you talk this size. 6,400 monthly wafers. If you want to know that, and how many displays per month at the start, whenever they get started. So if we use the Imagine, the 4K display, which is the one I said Valve probably paid them to design, because there's also a patent for that, but whatever. If every display yielded correctly, which that doesn't always happen, of course, if every display on that wafer yielded correctly around the size of that display, which is 2 inches diagonal, that would be about 240,000 displays at the first month, if it all yielded correctly. And that's just Samsung. That's their first start, their pilot line. And there's also LG that is not being reported on right here. Everyone in the industry says LG is actually ahead of Samsung in getting their micro OLED line ready. And LG has also made deals with SK Hynix, who makes a lot of, they're a big chip company. They do mostly the RAM, like the RAM chips. They partnered with SK Hynix, which they will make the wafers and the chips, while LG will just do the OLED part of the thing. So huge movements right now in Korea for micro OLED, and I'm very confident that the Quest Pro 2 will use micro OLED. Very confident. They don't even have to upgrade much for the Quest Pro. I hope they fix the head strap, but keep the same lenses, upgrade a micro OLED, new chip. You already have a really great base for a product that you can start thinking about actual productivity, because the displays in this thing do not support productivity for the Quest Pro. But Quest Pro 2, I think it could if they switch to this. And Quest Pro 2 is slated for late 2024. all these things happening. There's a lot of reports that Meta executives like Mark Zuckerberg and all the top brass at Meta were visiting Samsung in Korea. I think this was like last month to talk about the micro OLED. So huge movements, huge movements. Apple is going to be using micro OLED. That's what everyone's been saying for years. Meta's going to be using micro OLED. Valve has been wanting to use micro OLED, but Valve's probably waiting on these bigger companies to just kind of convince these fabs to be made for them a little bit. Because one thing I kind of learned recently about the index displays is the index displays were started mass production in 2017, 2 years before the index, and they were actually about to be canceled. Like BOE was actually going to stop making them. But then they decided to not stop making them because Valve stepped in and said, we will put in a huge order for these displays and keep that order going. So Valve saved this display from going out of production. So this was like a last minute plan, which I've said for a while. I've said for a while that the displays in these things was really a last minute plan. The reason why they went with it is because no one in the industry back then could convince fabs to do better displays than LCD because the volumes for hardware was too low. The sales volumes for hardware was too low. So no one wanted to invest in that. So yeah, everything's just getting better for that front. Long explanation, but yeah, that's all. I always get excited talking about this stuff because it's just like a lot of cool news happening. Bradley, will 2023 be the year of large FOV, 140 degrees plus? Probably not. Probably not. What do you think about BCI team members at Valve leaving? Yeah. So the main experimental psychologist at Valve, he did leave Valve this month. And he was pretty famous for giving talks about BCIs and stuff. And he did leave this month. I still think Gabe Newell is still very, very bullish on that kind of technology. I don't know why the psychologist left. I don't want to speculate on that. It could not... I don't really want to jump to the conclusion that someone left means that they're giving up on that. I'll be going to the project or the Open BCI booth at CES and hopefully trying Project Leia. But the guy who CEO of this company, and this company was partnered with Valve for a good amount of time. He said that Valve uses this to playtest things, which makes sense because you can actually get an emotional state out of how people are feeling while playtesting. And Valve, very big on playtesting stuff. So that makes sense, you know. Yeah. Would quantum.oled fix those issues? Are you talking about the brightness thing? So I did ask about quantum.oled for micro displays, and what it sounds like is when you shrink the quantum dots, they become very inefficient for the most part, for some colors. And that's kind of been the one reason why they haven't really, all these companies haven't really done it. I don't think I've seen one quantum.oled micro display because it's just been a bit of a pain. You are seeing quantum dots used for micro LED color conversion, but even then, you're kind of grasping at straws because micro LED at these small microscopic sizes are still also have a lot of problems on their own. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about the quantum dot. Yeah. White OLED is actually not brighter than RGB OLED. It's just you can't make RGB OLED for large TVs. Quantum.OLED, by the way, is actually closer in design to white OLED with color filters than RGB. Way closer to that. Even Apple. So Apple's been, this is not for VR, but Apple's been said that they're going to be using, they're going to be switching to OLED for their, first their iPads and then their MacBooks after that. And everyone in the industry is saying that they're going to use dual stack RGB for those, that's going to be really impressive because those are probably going to be very bright and efficient. Those are probably going to be some beautiful displays for those laptops and iPads. I have a mini LED MacBook Pro because my wife wanted one. The display on that thing's pretty good, but it's still not OLED. And that's the best mini LED can do. They have the best mini LED displays on the market, so. Alright. Oh, the mini LED on the iPad kind of sucks. Yeah. I don't have the iPad. I've never seen the mini LED on the iPad, but on the MacBook Pro, it was pretty good. The blooming is still there. People always say I'm crazy when I notice the blooming, but I think they're crazy for not noticing the blooming from like the cursor on dark scenes or whatever. Yeah. So what's the difference between conventional? I want to go to the next topic. This is the last OLED question I'll answer because I don't want to be focusing too long on this topic. So what's the difference between conventional OLED and micro OLED? The conventional OLED is built on glass. This glass, big sheets of glass. Micro OLED is built on silicon wafers, which is the same as computer chips. Yes. That is the difference. That's why they call it micro OLED or OLED on silicon. You might hear that term. That's the main difference. Are contact gloves made by Manus? No, they're made by Diver X. You might remember there was a company that was making a headset that looked really strange. It was focused on sleeping. I think it was or laying down and doing VR. It was this company. They were gonna do a Kickstarter for it, but no one was interested in that product. They gave up. Well, then they switched to gloves. That's who makes this. I think they're supported by. They're also supported by Shiftall, which is the company behind Megan X. So they have some support there now. Oh, thank you, Walking Dead. I'm glad people enjoy my content. Whew. Yes. Alright, cool. They're under what processors? Anyway, let me look at my. I think I did a Q&A system. Oh frick. Okay, this is. Let me look through my Q&A questions. Oh, people are wondering if we will see any micro LED headsets in 2023. Yes, I do believe. Yes. I'm not sure if they're going to be RGB, but I do think we'll see. I think we'll see a few micro LED headsets this year. Actually, this coming year, 2023. I think we'll see a few of them. There's been some big investments in China, especially for that. That are going to be way more online, or I should say online, quicker than what Samsung seems to be targeting. Any indication of Valve and Apple partnership? I made a whole video on that. I still think there's something there, but I'm not sure how serious it is. You notice there's a whole team dedicated within Apple to allow third-party app stores on the iPhone. Mainly because of the Europe court ruling, but still, that is kind of an interesting development that is happening. Is they're focusing on allowing third-party app stores on an Apple iPhone. I literally never thought I would be saying that out of my own mouth, but that is apparently a thing that is being worked on internally. Wow. Could you imagine? There's also the thing that apparently what the recent Apple leakers have been saying is that there's kind of like two operating systems for Apple XR stuff. One is more focused on like the Mac OS, which apparently the Mac OS version is called XROS, and then there's a fully mobile version that is the Reality OS. So apparently there's two versions being worked on. I don't really know what the crap that means, but I rather have a more Mac Mac-like OS than a iOS-like OS. Guess, but yeah, whatever. Even though they're becoming so similar at this point, it's hard to. Do you still think Decker will onboard computing for standalone? Yeah, yes. I really do feel that at the very least, at the very least, Deckard will have a Snapdragon chip. Yes. There's a lot of benefits for PC VR headsets to have a Snapdragon chip. Even if it's not focused on onboard computing. In fact, there's probably more benefits for a PC VR headset to have a standalone mobile chip than there is a standalone headset to have a standalone mobile. That's my hot take there. Way more benefits. You don't have to throttle that chip for Omega processing, killing it, using a ton of energy. Just have that as a way to work together with a PC, like Virtual Desktop has shown to be very good at. Did you ever get your Quest Pro power to last on PC VR? Mine never seems to run out. I can never get the Quest Pro to not run out of battery. Plugging it into my... I have a Thunderbolt port on my PC, which delivers a lot of power. And even that does not... even that does not keep my Quest Pro powered forever, so... I don't want to guess on Deckard FOV because FOV is like the hardest. You can't really guess on something like that. Do you think the supply chain is the reason why Meta hasn't increased their global sales in the past 2 years? The leading company in the VR industry should sell to more than 23 countries. That's a good point. Is it the supply chain for Quest 2? Probably not. Not for Quest 2. I just think I think they don't want to... I'm guessing that Meta probably does a lot of market research for different markets. And they maybe had plans to expand in more countries. But after their huge like stock price and everything and the firings, I'm sure they have like very little plans to set up support systems for a variety of countries. So I think it might be more of a logistical nightmare for them right now. And I think if they start expanding to more countries, even if it might be good for their business, their VR business, I don't think the reaction would be good from their investors. How often do you ERP? Huh? I love enterprise resource planning. Do you think PSVR 2 pre-orders aren't doing as well as Sony's expected? Yeah, I kind of do feel that actually. They did. So it did come out from, I think it was, I want to say Bloomberg, that Sony was building 2 million units by February, its launch date, or at least the end of the first quarter, which is around that time anyway. That's a lot of units. I don't know why Sony built so many units or dedicated to build so many units. I'm wondering if they had to convince the supply chain to make those displays for them. Like maybe they had to put a special amount of order in for those displays to get them fabbed because they're very special. They are a special kind of standard OLED. But yeah, I do think they're not selling as well as they thought, even though that 2 million mark was really extraordinary. Yeah, I don't think they're selling as well. I don't think it's like a issue though. I don't think it's like they're not selling at all. I just think that's not what Sony thought. I don't have a Tilt 5 yet. How does Imagine work? So the idea, again, so the way Imagine works is that what they want to do is they want to design backplanes for companies, and then companies I should say they want to design the back planes, and they want to design the RGB OLED technology, and then have consumer companies take that to a mass producer like Samsung or LG or whatever, and license that. So they get a licensing fee per display or whatever. I guess if you're using a technology process, you're probably not getting the licensing. I don't know how that works. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about that stuff. I just care about getting good displays in a VR headset. That's all I care about mostly. What's the update on the Decker controllers? Oh, I do. Oh, that was one of the things I wanted to do a video on. Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one to kind of talk about. Yes. I did hear some areas have sold out PSVR 2s. Let me see if I can buy one right now. Hold on. Let me sign in. Off screen. Why can't I sign in? Okay, I sign in. Let's see if I can still... Yeah, I can still pre-order them in USA, which USA is the biggest market, for sure. Like, undoubtedly. Still can pre-order them. Again, I don't think it's a problem. They just haven't shown that many software titles yet to get normal gamers into buying it. Really, it's just Horizon for me. Like, that's all I kind of care about right now, so... If I only care about one game, I can only imagine what normal non-VR nerds are caring about, you know? That's the way you always have to think about it. Oh, thank you, Real Human. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So this was a thing that kind of got, It was pretty big. I guess there were some articles on it. It was funny because the day this patent... so we have like a bot that kind of can tell us when a new patent is published from Valve, right? And when this title came out, we were like, wait a minute, that's a new patent. What the frick? What's going on here? But usually the bot grabs the patent like 4 hours in advance before you can actually see the patent. Everyone in my Discord was like, no, screw this. We cannot wait 4 hours. We gotta see this thing. Webhead actually downloaded an entire archive of that day's patent releases just to get this one patent early. we were so hopped up on copium. Anyway, yeah, so this was thing that came out. The one thing I want people to note is let me pull something up, actually. Any insight on significant resolution increases for the short term? Again, when you see micro OLED headsets is when you're going to see the huge resolution boost. Because it's still really hard to increase LCD resolution. Or I should say, it's really hard to increase the pixels per inch for LCD. That's why you haven't seen huge jumps. Unless they're huge bulky headsets like Vario, Pimax, the Somnium VR1. They're all using the same display, which is like a 3.2-inch diagonal display, which is pretty large. And the pixels per inch are kind of almost the same as the display in the Quest Pro. So yeah, you need to wait for micro OLED for that. I don't think Decker will need a new library of content for Decker. No. I'll explain it later. Let's talk about the controller for now. So, give me a second. I need to find the perfect example. I usually don't do. I usually don't care about showing patents too much, of course, but this was a notable one. I used to only show patents on this channel, but now I do like almost 0 patents on this channel. Very, very rare I do patents. Unless they are notable, which this one still is. Is this the one I want to show? I think maybe. No. I wish I had this ready. Is it? I'm looking for one of the older ones. God, they're all stupid Steam controller ones. Huh? No, this might be the design. This is the design patent. No. Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. This is what I was wanting to find. Okay. So, you know, this patent, right? This is what I want to show off first because here you can see the first version of the Knuckles, right? The old prototype design. So if we were caring enough to look at Valve patents back in 2017, 2016, this is what we would see, right? We would see this weird looking controller, assuming they didn't show it off to the public, which they already did at this time. We would see this weird looking controller, and we would be like, oh, this must be the final design, right? But wait a minute, there's two designs in this patent. That's kind of weird. Why is there this design here? And then there's this like more final version here. What's going on there? Well, because when Valve makes patents, they're showing off, they want to show, they draw figures to explain the concept. And a lot of the figures they do draw, though, are usually prototypes. They rarely draw overly simple figures, right? They usually have at least one prototype figure. And I want you to think about that when you look at this, because there's actually two different controller designs in this patent that a lot of people missed. So obviously this one here, this is ridiculously detailed, but so I really do believe this is a prototype. I think it's an early prototype controller. I don't think the final controller will look like this at all. But I do think this was a prototype being used within Valve, like a actual controller made. But the whole point of this patent is to focus on hand tracking. And not only to focus on the hand tracking, they want to make it easier for different hand sizes to adjust so that the fingers can correctly be in the right place, like every time. They'll have this slider here that would be like large hand, medium hand, small hand that you would switch between, and that would set where your hand is, right? Basically, just a new strap system. But there's also some pretty cool things they're doing in here. One notable thing is, well, actually this whole figure is the notable thing. They want to have user replaceable straps. You can actually user replace this a little bit, but you have to take off the shell here. But they want to make it easy. Unscrew the strap. Maybe they want people to make special straps or whatever. But I don't really care about that. What I want to show you is the fact that this figure right here, this is very different. This is very different figure design compared to this one. Because you can tell from the ring. This looks like a Quest 2 ring. And this one has the ring going around down here. So people were really focused on this one here, which I think was kind of same situation with here, where they show the early prototype, right? And then they also show some more updated figures, and we got to see a little glimpse of this one, right? It does kind of look like PSVR 2 controller, but they only show this design. They only show this design in these two figures, and they're very, very careful not to show off the full thing. But yeah, most of the figures are using that one prototype design. That it's just really funny to me. Like, people miss this thing. Anyway, I don't think it's a different view, because no matter how you look at this thing, it does not. The ring doesn't even get close around the strap at all, and it also like bends upward. Whereas this one's like, okay, we got the system button there. This thing's going down. This thing's got like two weird, I don't know what these things are up here. So yeah, I do think it's a more finalized version of what we'll see. I don't think we're going to see a ring similar to the Quest 2. I do think they're gonna stick with a ring more similar to the Knuckles, based on what you see there. So, yeah. User replaceable joysticks. Yeah, that would be useful, huh? Again, I don't want to speculate too much. I just want to show you what I have here because a lot of people missed this. A lot of people didn't open up the patent. They either saw an article about the patent that didn't show these figures. But I just want to make sure all you guys saw this, at least, to get your mind thinking a little bit. Like, they're not... Or maybe... Or if you want to get Omega tinfoil hat, you want to go the extreme tinfoil hat craziness, which I don't recommend. Maybe Valve wants to make a low-end device and a high-end device. I don't think they will, but you know, tinfoil hat. But I think this will be what they go with, something more like this. All right. No touchpads in any of these pictures, though. No touchpads. Rest in peace, Touch Pill. Rest in peace, Touch Pill. Alright. Never go full... Yeah. Thank you, Tagusta. I appreciate that. Alright. Oh, Steam Deck joysticks are pretty much guaranteed. Pretty much guaranteed. Don't want to talk too much. You know, there's actually some things I've been told about Valve stuff that I promise not to tell. Not too many things, but like at least one or two. And it frustrates me because sometimes I see people comment about these things and I want to say what I've been told so bad. But I made promises. I do keep my promises. The way I still think Deckard or whatever Valve makes will still be focused on high-end PC VR. If they ever do a standalone, like a standalone version with like a APU on board that could run Steam VR games completely on the headset, what I think will actually happen is it'll be very similar to Steam Deck. People were asking me about this. I think it'll be very similar to how Steam Deck operates, and a lot of things that people don't know. So you can have excuse me. You can already Steam already has the ecosystem and the infrastructure to make a branch with like lower resolution textures and models, and have a Steam Deck only download and use models and textures from that branch in case developers really want to have the best like optimized experience. I haven't seen anyone use it yet, but that was one of the things they showed off in one of their Steamworks developer commentaries about the Steam Deck. Is you can make a branch, make it focus on Steam Deck, mark it as Steam Deck on focus, and then yeah, I could see them doing the same exact thing for Deckard if they ever went with the AMD APU, right? Makes sense. How do you feel about Hall Effect joysticks for VR? I mean, it seems like it's a must. I mean, I feel like Hall Effect joysticks for everything is kind of what things should be, but I haven't really looked into that. I'm not professional on that kind of stuff, to be honest. I don't know too much. Everyone says that Hall Effect will solve the drifting problem. So thanks for your reply regarding Meta's global distribution. I think investors would like an expansion of Meta's VR sales to where they also offer Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Considering that global presence increases their value. But I think that the thing is the putting a software in a country is so much easier logistically than hardware. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, it's like, I think the one thing that Meta, like, this kind of makes me feel that Meta in general is just like so reliant on everything else. I can't say there's many things where they have it. I can't think of many things they own that's self-reliant on their own thing. except their VR hardware, right? And even then, their VR hardware is relying on like Qualcomm and Android and like all these other things. It's like, it's kind of a liability because all their software stuff relies on mobile phones from other companies. When they get into AR glasses that connect to a smartphone, or they will need to connect to a smartphone, every AR smart glass, they don't even have a product line for that. They have to rely on iPhone or Android, or someone else's Android, like Samsung or something. That was another thing I thought about with the Quest Pro. Like, one of the main use cases is Horizon Workrooms, right? You gotta connect it to a Mac or PC. They are totally at the will of the platforms they have no control over. And that's kind of a liability, I think, for them, company-wise, in a way. They're hoping that people develop standalone workplace apps for their headset, obviously. But even then, those rely on Android. It's just kind of a weird thing, you know? What? Blink twice at Deckard in 2020. I will never guess when Deckard is coming out again. Never. I am going to enjoy the journey, but I'm not going to enjoy guessing the destination all the time. Could Meta build their own chip? They could, but from what it sounds like, they're not going to. Because it's hard. Qualcomm, unironically, will probably do a better job than them. But yeah, a lot of people within them do want to create custom chip. What you're probably going to see custom from Meta, you're not going to see full-on custom SoCs, but I think you're going to see a lot of custom ASICs, or like custom microchips that can do very dedicated tasks, because they kind of shown that work off already. They're using RISC-V. They're big on RISC-V, the company of Meta, and they showed off some RISC-V chips that would work together with like a Qualcomm SoC to enable the rendering better of their codec avatars that they're so obsessed with, and they're always coming soon, whenever that soon is. But yeah, they just yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Meta has. It's like unique, except money. Yeah. Like they have a lot of developers and money, right? That's kind of what they got, and they got really good computer. The one thing that they got right now that I think is the most defining feature of Meta is their computer. Like their computer vision stuff. I think that's the one thing Meta has that is the most value out of anything, is their computer vision are really good. Camera, computer vision. Yeah, ARM and RISC are different. Anyway. Alright, how long have I been streaming? 1 hour? Okay, we still have time. Let me go back to my questions. I'm not saying do you think Apple XR do you think Apple XR headset will borrow a lot from Arpara? You're gonna notice a lot of headsets become very similar form factor when everyone switches to micro OLED. Because every company wants the goggles form factor. Oh crap. Like they all want this, like, unfortunately I hate it. They all want this form factor. They all want this, like, not the cat ears, ignore the cat ears, but they all want this. They all want kind of like this, but smaller. Yeah. They all want that. So I don't think it's like copying, it's just like there's only so many designs you can do and they all want that one. When will you buy a yoga ball? Soon. Oh, okay, this is a good question. What are the big 3 things we were expecting from CES and one big thing for 2023? 2023? I mean, I kind of said earlier, I really do think we'll see like a pretty notable micro LED headset from someone, even if it's a dev kit. It might be a dev kit product from like a big company, but I think that'll be a pretty notable thing. I don't know. It's like 2023 is gonna be weird. Quest 3 is gonna come out. I'm honestly not sure how Quest 3 is going to be received. Honestly, I'm not even sure if Quest 3 is gonna be as popular as Quest 2 was. You can call me a doomer, but I'm really getting a strange vibe in my brain when I think about Quest 3. I don't see people like jumping out to buy Quest 3. I don't know. I could be way off there. But for CES, I'm really excited to go try out I'll be trying out Lynx. I'll be trying out the Lynx headset for the first time. It'll be pretty much almost finalized design there. I totally forgot what I'm doing at CES. Shoot. I'm hoping I'll be able to try PSVR 2 because Sony's press conference even has the PSVR 2 in the thumbnail as like the teaser. So they're gonna be. I think there's gonna be a big focus on that. Maybe a new software title announced during then. But man, I don't know what to really expect from CES. To be honest, that's kind of the thing. Is like I don't really know. Even though a lot of companies make their announcements before CES, but the big companies kind of wait till their press conference during CES to show off what they're working on. So yeah, Sharp. So Sharp makes all the LCD displays for Quest 2, Reverb G2, like Index. They designed the LCD for a lot of those displays. I think they partner with BOE to make them. But Sharp will be showing off some prototypes of some really high resolution headsets at CES, so I'm interested in that for sure. Do I think XR2 Gen 2 will be announced at CES? I was actually pretty surprised that XR2 Gen 2 was not announced at Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit, because everyone was telling me it was going to be. But I think there might have been some changes, some slight changes. I wasn't able to confirm a lot of this, but the biggest change I heard about why that might have been delayed is I've heard, and I haven't confirmed this. I heard that they're porting the XR2 Gen 2 design to Samsung instead of TSMC because they want to make the chips cheaper. And it's also a good way for Samsung to kind of get back into Qualcomm's supply chain in a more meaningful way. So, yeah, that might be one reason why it wasn't announced. But I do know a lot of vendors, again, I stand by the fact that a lot of vendors, companies they've been notified of all the specs of XR2 Gen 2. A lot of people excited about it. A lot of people have said that they even think more companies will hop into VR because of how good this chip is. They feel it hits the performance barrier for companies to jump in because they think it's going to be like, consumers will buy this more because we can put these kind of displays with this kind of power, or this optics with this kind of power, or this antennas with, like, a lot of people think it's going to be a very notable piece of hardware. As someone who hates Quest standalone content, it's hard to justify paying $400 to $600 for a pancake lens upgrade alone for Quest 3. I think the one thing I'm really excited for Quest 3, I also gotta, I'll read this, thank you for donating. I'll read this donation comment after this. From what I'm seeing from the AV1 codec stuff, and I know you need like a brand new GPU to do this, So all the new generation GPUs support AV1 encoding, and all the early tests for the most part have been very promising, very good. Because right now, if you use Wi-Fi for virtual desktop or something, you either have a H.264 or HEVC. They're, AV1 is apparently better than both of those from benchmarks and everything. Way more efficient, higher quality looking. Very hopeful for that from the next generation of headsets, because the XR2 Gen 2 is going to have AV1 decode and encode as well. So I'm hoping that when that comes out, we'll see. I think that'll be very notable. I really think that codec will be very notable for wireless PC VR. Anyway, Vexner3 donated $5. Thoughts on Unreal Engine 5 and VR for realism and avatars environments? Also, any predictions on 16K resolution? Not 16K. No. Oh, you mean like when? Oh, jeez. Wow. Funny you say that. Actually, let me look this up. I feel like... Gosh, I feel like that's a... Yeah, I feel like that's something I read. Maybe not. I really thought... Hold on, sorry, I gotta look this up because it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't see it. Oh, okay. So the original Valve patent on micro OLED from 2016, when they were working on Vader, they were talking. So they actually, if you want to think of it this way, they kind of laid out their timeline of plans, or at least their hoped plans for how displays would progress. And in this patent, they talk about 2K by 2K per eye, which was, I think, what they were originally hoping to go with the index with Vader, was 2K by 2K per eye. 4K by 4K per eye, which is, I've talked about that display existing. And then the third one, they shot up to 12K by 12K. I don't know how that's gonna ever happen. My brain can't think about when that would happen, but yeah, I just wanted to note that because I question about what 16K or something displays. I just wanted to note that real quick. This is Norwood Suite official soundtrack. Anyway, thank you for that question. Before we croak, probably. I really do believe that VR. I think display technology for VR is going to be better than any display technology outside of VR. Like, you can do so much. You can do so much with displays in a closed VR headset. You can have super accurate colors because you're closed off from the outer light. You can push up the resolution crazy amounts because you can make displays small and use silicon backplanes. And because you're relying on like the silicon processes a little bit, you're kind of also following Moore's law on how small you can get the pixel sizes. I think the more issue is of how to make the mask to deposit the pixels onto the backplane. So anyway, I know I obsess over display technology for VR, but I really think that's the one thing that will make TVs obsolete in some ways. Because you can just do so many different things you can't do with a monitor or TV. You think Valve already got Foveated rendering solved for the Deckard? I'm glad you asked that question too, because there was another thing that happened this week that I saw that made my brain go brrr. I will find it. So, you guys are making me talk about Valve patents too much. I hope this is not on purpose. I don't want to So there was something that came out this week. Trying to find it. You know, maybe it would be better to search the Chronos page. Oh, maybe I have yes, this company. So this company joined the Chronos group as a small member, I'll admit. They don't have any voting rights in the Chronos group, but the Chronos group is known for OpenXR, and that's what they joined for, is OpenXR. So this is an eye tracking device, and the only reason I want to bring this device up, and the fact that they're joining the Chronos group, is because Valve doesn't have many eye tracking patents. Like, they maybe have like 2 or 3. But the most recent one they made was in 2021. And it's kind of crazy because that patent describes this system that this company is showing off perfectly. Like, it's actually kind of it's 1-to-1 almost on how it works. Let me see if I can. Like, when I saw their video on how this thing works, I was like, oh my god, this is literally the Valve patent. I can't believe it. Can't make that bigger. I'm sorry, I can't make that bigger. So the way the Valve patent works is, instead of doing cameras, they want to do it's kind of like the Lighthouse way. And the best way to think of it, it's kind of like how Lighthouse tracking works, but for eyeballs. They use photo receiving diodes, not cameras, to capture IR either blinking or whatever and being reflected off your eyeballs. In this case, they have 4 photodiodes on the corners, and they have this array of LEDs giving off IR light, and then they see the different types of reflections given off from the eyeball. And again, I don't know how actually accurate the system is. I don't know if this will ever become a product, but this is exactly what I saw from the Valve patent. And when I saw this company's only existed for 5 months, so I don't know anything about them. But when I saw this technology, I was like, what the flip? Literally the Valve patent. Crazy. That was just a crazy thing. Yeah, it's a 1000 hertz. Because it's not a camera, because cameras are pretty inefficient with power. Photodiodes they don't have to be looking at much. They're not capturing a whole frame of images. They're just capturing like light, right? That's all they do. It's just like lighthouses again. These are photodiodes. I guess you can sometimes call cameras photodiodes too, but yeah, like all these on my it's what Lighthouse uses. Same concept. It probably it probably is inaccurate. Again, I don't know how. The Valve patent talks a lot about machine learning to brute force the accuracy, but we'll see if that ever actually happens. But it was a cool idea, and I just wanted to show that off to you because I saw that and it was like, hey, it's a thing. But yeah, Chronos Group is very important. They're also they're not only responsible for OpenXR, they're also responsible for Vulkan. And Valve is very involved in both Vulkan and OpenXR. Well, actually, a lot of all the companies except Apple are very involved in OpenXR. Meta likes to have a lot of extensions for OpenXR. What I noticed from Valve is they don't like to do extensions. From my understanding, they like to push things to become part of the standard spec. So you won't see that many Valve extensions, but trust me, they do submit stuff to that spec sheet. It just usually gets upgraded to the core spec. I bet if you had the choice, all your HMDs would be see-through. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be absolutely. Yep. Microsoft, yeah, pretty much every major company except Apple has it. How confident are you Quest 3 will use Adreno 740? I am 200% confident on that. I am very, extremely confident that Quest 3 will use the Adreno 740 GPU. That is the one thing my best source confirmed to me. And the CAD images, you know, like I already leaked the Quest 3 design. That is still accurate, by the way. That the design is still accurate. They're still going with that. In fact, this is more of the whispers. It's not really like something I want spread around too much on the internet, but I will tell you. The first early versions of the what we call EVTs, and engineering verification of the Quest 3 are starting to be made. And I heard from someone that has tried one, and apparently at the current state they say the mixed reality in it is better than the Quest Pro, which, if that's true, that's pretty hilarious. But because they're doing like a totally different camera layout in the Quest 3. They're like doing 2 color cameras instead of the one. Yeah. But also, the Quest Pro color pass-through was better before the consumer version, so it could be just like until they remove the depth sensor. From what I understand, people said when they said the models with the depth sensor had way better mixed reality than the one that we got, so could be the same situation there. Because I think the early prototypes of Quest 3 even have a depth sensor. I WN with the $20. Thank you. Love your content. Had a question. Have you ever had a convincing explanation why the depth sensor was removed? What impact do you think the removal had on MR quality? I never had a definitive answer given to me. Just rumors, and they're all different rumors, so I don't really want to say them. The most ridiculous rumor I kind of spread, and I don't want to respread it, but it was funny. I can't. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I will say Bosworth said it's because they didn't see much value in adding it. I don't think that's true, because again, I think everyone I talked to said the depth sensor, the versions of pass-through with the depth sensor in, was marginally better than what the consumer version of this headset is. Or the mass production version. So I think it would have mattered, and I also know hand tracking was better. That was another thing people kept saying, was the hand tracking was also even better with the IR being spread all over your fingers. So it's just like, it's really weird. It's really strange. I wouldn't be surprised if they took it out just to get more profits out of the device. I know Zuckerberg's spreading that they're not making much money on the hardware for that device, but I think it's bullcrap. Actually, I know it's bullcrap. Sure, they gotta make back money on R&D and stuff, but just the hardware itself, they're making a profit per unit, and I'm sure depth sensor taking that out made that figure way more pretty on the bottom line. I'm sure it did consume more battery life. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe they were able to, maybe by having that assist to the algorithm, maybe it was about even. Because I think the cameras now have to do more work. The computer vision stuff, it kind of has to do even more work, I feel, than before. So, yeah. Do you know anything about Quest 3 controllers? It will have an IR ring of some sort. They're called, so the Quest 3 controllers are codenamed Ruby, and they will have IR LEDs on the controllers, so they are not doing their own inside-out tracking. I can confirm that right now. Yes, that's all I know about them. Quest 3 resolution, I haven't gotten that finalized, but I think it's gonna be very similar to the resolution of Pico 4, to be honest. I do think it's going to be around that range, like 2200 by 2200 per eye. It will be Quest Pro. The Quest Pro controllers will be compatible with Quest 3. Yeah, they want to sell those controllers for a while, as much as they can. They wanna keep them available for as many future devices as possible. Yeah. I really do like the controllers in this headset. That's like, I stand by saying this is my favorite part of the headset. Like, seriously, this is still my favorite part of the headset. These things are freaking my favorite. I love them. I really do love them. Yeah. They are definitely my favorite part. Yeah. And the hand tracking is good on the Quest Pro 2. Alright, we have like 14 minutes left till I want to end it. So let me go down to the questions, see if I missed anything. Wouldn't it be better to have a QD OLED headset? So the problem with QD LED, it does get brighter than standard OLED. So it might be usable for something like a Fresnel headset. That's one reason why PSVR 2, by the way, has Fresnel lenses, is because they're using glass backplane OLED. So they can get easy. Like it's not a big deal. QD OLED is actually not that much more brighter than standard OLED. And there's also I don't think they actually, so there's also, you have to think about fill ratio, like the pixel fill. For what I understand, every QD OLED right now, which is made by Samsung, they use a diamond. Is it diamond? I want to say it's like, it's not RGB stripe. It's not RGB stripe pattern. Not to say they couldn't do it, but they haven't seemed to focus on making the technology to do that for what they're using it for. So they're still kind of sticking with the mobile phone type RGB OLED for PSVR 2, which is RGB stripe. But also, yeah, that's kind of all I had to say about that, I think. Pico 5 whispers, yes, I do have some whispers. Quest 3 will not be the only headset, obviously, to be looking at getting XR2 Gen 2, as I said. Pico 5 will have that. But one thing I did hear, and is that they are, while Meta is focusing on the mixed reality sort of thing for Quest 3, I was told that Pico 5 is focused on putting eye tracking as a baseline feature for Pico 5. That is what they're focusing on. So that will be really interesting if they both came out at the same time. Quest 3 no eye tracking, but focus on mixed reality, and Pico 5 with eye tracking. That'll be really interesting to see how the market reacts. I haven't heard anything about face tracking, but eye tracking, yes. Is HPVR? I haven't heard anything about HPVR. It wouldn't shock me if they're dead. It wouldn't shock me. Like the CEO or whatever left, or the spokesperson. Like there were a lot of kind of hints just showing that HP might be dipping out of the market a little bit. Meta needs tongue tracking, yes. That's true. I actually finally changed my VR chat avatar base. I've been using the same Brad Chan for pretty much almost maybe 2 years, 2-3 years. And I have switched to a Brad Chan 2.0. And my old Brad Chan had eye and face tracking already set up, and I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to do eye and face tracking for Brad Chan 2.0 yet. And I basically said, no, I don't really care about that right now, because there's no tongue tracking on Quest Pro. So if Quest Pro added like a software update to add tongue tracking, then I would probably give eye and face tracking to Brad Chan 2.0. So It's not out of the cards for now. Anyway. Why won't you release the Deckard yet? I told Valve to cancel Deckard because I said VR is a gimmick and they should focus on Steam. They should focus on not releasing games. Just focus on Steam. Don't focus on that VR stuff, that game stuff. Focus on Steam. Oh, someone asked me something earlier. I didn't answer the question. So someone was asking me about Unreal Engine and like the value of realism and stuff for VR. Yes, I love beautiful environments. I think exploring beautiful environments with friends is the best thing VR has to offer, honestly. That's why VR chat's so good. I don't have much to say about Unreal Engine, but I do want to say, I want to bring up I suppose. I'm still waiting on this thing. So this is Sandbox. This is built on the Source 2 engine, which is, I mean, we've seen how well that Half-Life Alyx runs, right? That's like such a well-running, beautiful engine game. And they actually did, the developer, Sandbox is the spiritual successor to Garry's Mod. It's made by the Garry's Mod developers, and they've been working on this for the past like almost 4 years or something. And in their most recent update, the November update, they added fixed phobia VR rendering to get even more frames out of it. And I'm telling you, like, Source 2 looks amazing. Source 2 looks really good. S-Box. Let me see if I can find this. And I also saw this image. Someone ported a toon shader. If you're in the VR chat, someone ported a toon shader in the Source 2 Sandbox. And I don't know. I feel like this is I hope I feel like Sandbox can genuinely be a pretty big competitor to VR chat one day. No joke. Because you can actually develop actual game modes and crazy engine. So, what do you think of Terry? I don't give a crap about Terry. I've gotten used to this man, this sausage man. Until you guys have Steams. One last question. Give me some realistics of predictions of what Palmer Luckey could be hinting at with his Twitter post a few days ago. Yeah, so this person's referring to the fact that Twitter or Palmer Luckey on Twitter was kind of like seemingly joke. He was kind of saying like Oculus isn't owned by Palmer Luckey, and then he replied to that person saying not yet or something like that. I think he was really trolling, to be honest. Palmer Luckey is a very well-known troll. Not to say he's not interested in VR. I know he's interested in VR, but it's like the Carmack thing. Both Palmer Luckey and John Carmack have their own huge startups right now that they have to focus on completely. So I don't really think either of them are in a place where they can do two things at once. In my opinion, I love Palmer. I think he's definitely a bit of a troll. I think he was kind of. I think people were asking him what he meant by that, and the fact that he didn't reply is just like he's probably snickering to himself from the reaction he's getting from that tweet. So, who's Palmer Luckey? Sounds like a sellout. I don't hate Palmer Luckey. I don't have disdain for Palmer Luckey as much as I have disdain for Michael Abrash. The stories about that guy unnerved me quite a bit. So. I don't know what that person just said. It was not in English. It was not English. Something about Getting off my feed. I don't know. That was not English. Wait, why? I don't want to talk about it. Just look up there's stories. Look up stories about Abrash and Valve and Meta. Or I guess if you want Google friendly, search Abrash, Valve, Oculus. There you go. that'll get you started. Do you have VR chat group? Yes, I do. I don't even know how to invite. How do I link people to that VR chat group? I do have a VR chat group. Oh, a lot of people are adding me as friend. Cool. Yeah, just I genuinely don't know how to. No, I don't know how to send invites, but it's Sadly It's Bradley official. I don't know how you even do the groups yet. Press the clipboard under group name. Yeah, if you want to join VR chat group, we usually yeah, this is where we usually do our meetup plans and world instances and stuff. So yeah, cool. Oh, how's VR on AMD GPUs? Oh, that's a good one to end the stream with. That's a perfect question to end the stream with, because that's the eternal hell I'm mentally going through right now. So I use a 6900 XT. Actually works great for VR, despite what people say. Despite what people say about VR or AMD on VR. Fantastic GPU, the 6900 XT. 7900 XT. Unfortunately, due to some really bad drivers, the 7900 XT performs worse right now than the current GPU I have, which is unbelievable. The XTX, I mean, XTX. That's the one I still have it on pre-order. I like the features it has. I like that when I switch to my Linux, my dual boot into Linux, I won't have awful issues with my AMD card compared to any Nvidia card. But yeah, there's some huge problems right now with the drivers. They wrote it as a known issue on the latest driver release for this GPU, but it is a problem right now. I probably will still get a 7900 XTX and deal with it. Because, dear God, the rasterization performance on the aftermarket cards, not the don't get the reference. From what it sounds like, if you're interested in the XTX, don't get the reference. You should be getting the aftermarket special versions or whatever, because they clock way higher, way better in every way. Sometimes they're getting close to RTX 4090 rasterization. It's pretty good value. But yeah, right now VR is a freaking mess. Do you ever think Valve or AMD will fix the... Yes, I do think they'll fix that one day. I just don't know when. Because I think Valve and AMD are pretty close at this point. And when Valve decides they want to make some huge updates to their rendering pipeline, not only just for Linux or for Windows, yes, I do think they will fix that one day. To be fair, NVIDIA, I don't think I had good experience with the NVIDIA VR either on Linux. It's very messy. Pick your poison. Yeah. I hope before 8900X. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, it's a driver issue, but again, I still stand by. Yeah, I would. I know this is not a big deal right now, but when I look at the 4090, I'm like, oh my god, these frames are so beautiful. But I think about how they're not on DisplayPort 2.0 or 2.1 or whatever. They're using the old DisplayPort. Even though it doesn't matter right now, it still kills me inside, because I think about in a few years or even next year, because we're gonna start seeing like DisplayPort 2.0 monitors next year, even at CES. It just kills me they make a card like the 4090 and not put in DisplayPort 2.0. It kills me. Anyway. I don't know anything about VR on the Intel Arc series, unfortunately. Maybe did this guy do it? Let me see if this guy does great VR benchmarks, by the way. Babel Tech Reviews. Very, very good. Fantastic reviews for VR benchmarks. So BabelTechReviews.com. See if I can get. Let me see if he did one. I don't think that works. Oh, there it goes. Let's see. There you go. There you go. There's your answer right there. Yeah. 2 days ago. Yeah. And they don't even. It seems like no one even knows at Intel what's going on from this. Reading this chat log here. Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. So you're into VR. If you need a new card right away, you want the best for VR. Right now it's 4090. Good luck buying one. They're harder to get than PS5s right now. It's freaking ridiculous. It actually pisses me off that a $1,600 card is selling out so well. And it doesn't even, it drives me insane. What has happened? But yeah. I don't even like, the 4080 is so expensive too. It's freaking ridiculous. What a joke. GPU market is becoming an absolute joke. Dear God. Actually, I would buy an aftermarket, like, find a used 3090 or like 6900 XT or whatever. That's probably way better for VR. Anyway, that is it. That is it. That is it for today. Thank you so much for everything. Everything. Bradsmells.com/Patreon. Yeah. I like to show that link because I like money, and I'm going to CES and all that. Actually, my Patreon is what's funding my CES trip. The only thing I get free for that trip is the press pass for applying, but all my room, my flight, my food I eat while I'm there, that'll all be that's all funded thanks to people like you who are supporting me on Patreon. I don't take sponsorships. I don't do paid reviews. I try to keep this channel as hobbyist as possible while also giving the most hobbyists. Does that make sense? I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I like money. All right. Yes. Have a great holiday, everyone. Have a happy New Year. I am hoping to have this video at least out soon, very soon, by the end of the year. And I'm also thinking about doing a index dev kit comparison in case people are interested in that. You might not be interested in that, but I'm interested in doing that video. So whether you like it or not. All right. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Goodbye. VRC meetup tomorrow, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye.